Project-Based Learning Explained, presented by Westminster College. What is project-based learning? It's an alternative to traditional classroom education. Instead of attending class and taking tests, learners go through a series of project sequences. Project sequences are made up of individual projects, and projects are made up of assignments, or deliverables. Students get coaching from professors to successfully complete these deliverables. The coach will then evaluate the deliverable using a list of skills that are important to employers, called competencies. The competencies are compiled into a list, called a rubric, where a student can see what skills they have mastered and where they need to improve. So how does it all work? Meet Brian. He's a working professional who has accumulated many skills during his career. Brian wants a degree where he can apply these skills and learn new ones. He has a family and a lot of responsibilities, but he can't get any further in his career unless he gets his degree. Brian's employer wants proof of what skills he's mastered, so he signs up for a project-based degree program. First, he's given a project map. This map is similar to a road map because it shows Brian where he starts and how he'll progress through the program. Now meet Joel. He's a marketing professor who will be Brian's first project sequence coach. You can think of Joel as a navigator in the passenger seat during a road trip. If Brian gets lost during his trip through Marketingville, he can turn to Joel for directions. To make it easier for Brian to get help, he can contact Joel using IM, phone, email, and other web communication tools. Brian is also given access to a website written by coaches containing topics which help him complete the projects. Brian starts the first project sequence. He logs onto his computer and reads the project description. The description describes the context for the project and how this project is broken up into 3 deliverables: a report, a presentation, and a blog entry, reflecting on what he has learned. Brian looks at the first deliverable and sees the set of competencies in the rubric he needs to demonstrate. In this report, he needs to demonstrate excellent writing skills, ethical awareness, and critical thinking. Brian has written this type of report for his job before, so he starts on it right away. He finishes the report and turns it into Joel for evaluation. Joel reads the report and consults the list of competencies. The competency grades Brian could get are meets, exceeds, or does not meet. Brian does a good job and is given scores of meets on all of his competencies. Meeting a competency is just like receiving a passing letter grade, but unlike letter grades, which don't represent any clear mastery of the subject, competencies tell learners exactly which skills they successfully demonstrated. Brian starts on the next deliverable, but this time he needs to make a market segmenting presentation. He is not sure about the definition of market segmenting. Brian thinks about contacting Joel, but it's pretty late, and Joel isn't online. Brian wants to get started, so he logs onto the website and searches for market segmentation. He finds an entire page with a definition, several articles, and a video to watch. Brian finishes his presentation and turns it into Joel. Joel evaluates the presentation, but this time Brian didn't quite demonstrate all of the competencies. Brian gets a does not meet on a couple of competencies. Joel sends it back to Brian and coaches Brian about which part of the deliverable he can improve. Instead of doing the presentation over again, Brian only needs to fix the part that didn't meet expectations. Brian fixes the issues and resubmits the presentation. Joel is satisfied with the changes, and Brian has now met all of the competencies. The next deliverable is to write a blog entry about what he has learned on this project. Brian has never written a blog before. He goes to his list of ways to contact Joel. Joel is online on IM, so Brian asks him about blogging. They have a conversation about blogging that helps Brian understand what's expected. After their discussion, Joel sends Brian a link to a simple blogging site. Brian starts writing his blog. Once Brian is satisfied with the blog, he turns it into Joel to be graded. This time Brian has done such a good job. He's exceeded all competency expectations. Joel marks an exceeds and lets Brian know he can continue. This process is repeated over and over until Brian reaches the end of the project sequence. Joel turns Brian over to Jerry. Jerry is an accounting faculty who will coach Brian through accounting land. The project and evaluation process keeps happening over and over again until Brian gets to the final project. Brian's final project incorporates all of the skills he's demonstrated along his entire journey. When he's done, Brian has a list of skills he's mastered that he can show to bosses or to potential employers. Thanks for watching Project-Based Learning Explained by Westminster College.